and I got it back just in time, like the day before Thanksgiving. Puffco usually comes in clutch with their fixing it system. Oh, look at that! God damn!
That never gets old.
I got you guys with a nice little melt shot here.
Hell yeah!
That is beautiful.
I don't even want to get mine ready. I'm just so looking at this.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right, hello everybody. We are 42T. This is Mr. Fiend and Sandwich.
That sandwich.
And we have our first guest, Mr. JacktheDablad.
How's it going?
Hello, I'm JacktheDablad, everybody.
How is beautiful Colorado Springs this time of year?
Sorry, I'm mid-dab right now.
No, you're good. You're good.
Dude, it's crazy right now in the springs, though, because it's like upwards of 70 degrees outside right now, and we just got a winter weather advisory alert for tomorrow.
Oh, hell.
So it's the hottest day we've had yet in the year, but we're supposed to get dumped on tomorrow night with snow, I guess.
God has sick jokes.
I'm rocking this scuffed setup right now because I broke my favorite banger, so I got to use this 45er.
Damn it.
No, that's beautiful.
I tilt it like this. It still works pretty well in my recycling.
I love a good turd flare, bro.
I found out, I like recently found out what they were, and then I got one, and it's just so fun to use and watch the little jewel spin around inside.
Bro, they're the fidget spinners of bangers.
I'm dead.
They're
Totally
awesome.
agree. So what are you smoking on right now?
I just did a dab of some hash burger from a THCA rosin company called Shop Hello Mary. You guys may have heard of them. They're like one of the most well-known THCA companies that like ships flour and rosin and stuff all over the U.S.
Yeah,
definitely have to try to check that out.
I definitely need to try some of that out. It's kind of interesting. It's fun that you're from a medical state and you're over here smoking on some THCA hemp products, and that's all we have available to us. So that's what we're smoking on right now too.
Yeah, it's some good stuff a lot of the time. Like, you know, there's hits and there's misses, but that's the same exact way with you know, my medical dispensary that I work at.
Yeah, all sorts of not as good as the other ones.
Anywhere you shop, whether it's black market, hemp, dispo. It just takes either like trying it all out for yourself or finding people like us that are trying to like help other people find the best stuff by reviewing it ourselves and creating an influence so that people can send us that stuff and we can develop that palette where we know we've tried all the different brands. You know, it's like it actually has a lot of value. That's why, dude, I've really been wanting to make like a video lately talking about how good of a time it is to be a cannabis content creator.
Oh yeah, it just seems to be getting it just seems to be getting better too. Like even like with the censorship, it seems that they're like starting to become more like lax with that.
Yeah, it feels that way. I know I've had less of my YouTube videos getting age restricted. How have your guys' podcast episodes done so far? Do they get age restricted?
No, they actually haven't been age restricted yet.
Well, I haven't seen it, so I guess not. But that's a good thing.
But up until this point, we've only had the audio, so that might have something to do with it. Now that we're on camera,
you just posted your first video episode. We'll be curious to see if that one gets age restricted.
Only time will tell on that one.
We did. We'll go ahead and plug one of your videos. You did a whole tier list describing all the different THCA rosins that are available, and I thought that was really cool, and that's definitely something we need in the community. Even if you go look on YouTube, there's not really a lot of like hemp product like reviewers or stuff like that, or someone to be able to tell you like who to look for. Because the problem with is that it's very unregulated. And so you get like people trying to pass off bad product as like good product.
Especially if that bad product has got money behind it to pay off people to say it.
So like with the hemp products available over there where you're from, do you see that like that there's a distinct difference between like people who actually care for their product and about the customer relations aspect of things compared to like others who are just in it for the money, just trying to blow off some booth, fast some gas?
Yeah, I think like I was kind of saying before, I feel like both of those people exist everywhere you go in weed. You know, there's always going to be the people that are just doing it for money and like don't care about the quality, and then there'll be the people that are actually like passionate about the plant and like the medicinal values behind it, and like making like even just like customer service alone, you know, like if a company shows that they're willing to make things right with people, I think that's one of the most important things on like in an unregulated market like a hemp market, is like if someone gets bad product or something goes wrong in the shipping process or whatever, you know, they need to make that right.
Right.
And there's,
Coughing
you know, you
with you,
hear
Jeff.
stories about both types of people. Sorry, that dab got me good.
You like coughing. You got to cough to get off sometimes. You know?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what my uncle taught me when I first started smoking.
I feel like a cough is a bong noise. Very,
Right.
very much associated.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you can't have the bong noise without the cough afterwards because you either didn't hit nothing or like
If
you're just trying to be tough for no reason. Like really,
Dude, especially with a big old bong.
Mhm.
Well, no, I guess if people are doing the big bong rips, sometimes they're nice and smooth.
What is the biggest piece that you've like ever taken a rip out of? Because probably for me is probably like a 2-3 footer. I just remember sitting off the edge of the couch and reaching.
So my favorite glass blower is this guy named Evan at Bear Mountain Studios, and he's made a 13-foot bong that you have to like go up into a loft to hit. And I've done a demo.
Oh, okay. I remember
It's
seeing the
pretty
TikTok on
epic.
that.
2-story bong rib? That's crazy.
Yeah, he wants to go even bigger with his glass blowing. He's planning on doing stuff that you have to like climb up a ladder to get to and shit.
I don't do ladders, so I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
You know
if I'd go up on the ladder, hit the dab, and I'd be too scared to come down.
Right, dude.
You're coughing all of a
It's gonna
sudden.
be interesting. Yeah, I'm super excited to see what kind of stuff he does. He is like my favorite glass blower because he just does all sorts of crazy shit like that. Like he is the guy that invented like the RBR. So if you've ever seen or heard of a RBR, it's like it's like a really specific shape recycler that's really popular. And he
I'm sure if we see it,
popularized
we'll
that,
recognize
and
it.
he does like all sorts of crazy stuff.
Interesting. That's pretty crazy to be able to come up with your own like style of banger.
What's that?
To be able to come up with your own style of banger, like that's pretty top tier.
Well, it's a rig. Did I call it a banger? I might have misspoke.
Oh, you said
recycler.
recycler.
You said recycler.
I'm just
was like, hold on, wait a second.
Yeah, I'm thinking of those little bangers that have like the tube that go back into it.
I've seen those. Those are fucking crazy.
That's what I was thinking about.
Do those even work is what I want to know.
Enough.
I would guess you'd have to be taking a good like 0.5 closer to a fucking huge dab for it to really get through all the way back to hit it again. Like that seems pretty out there. Oh, so I don't know if you know this, Jack, but we do stand-up comedy.
Yeah, I've seen some of you guys' clips.
Sweet. And we were at the Stoner show that they got going at the last Friday of every month here, and Sandwich, we were talking to the guy that runs the store, and he was like, "Oh, bro, y'all want to dab?" I was like, "Sure." He pulls out this rig, and I mean, when I say that this banger was dirty,
Ooh.
I mean, like it was like there was Chaz on top of Chaz.
It was
like
white and black.
It was gray, really. And so then I watched this man. Oh, what's the canister?
The big torch, the propane
torch. He propane torches his banger. It gets it burned bright red through, I'd say 30% of the entire banger. Takes it off, and I wait maybe like a minute, and then he's like, "All right, cool," and then drops me the dab, and it's still one of the hottest dabs I ever had in my life.
Oh my fucking god, dude!
How
Dabbing is
how
rough,
important?
man. It's
How important? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, dude, I need to make more content to get people to stop doing that. It's like we'll help save the world by just like trying to shame people out of doing
I love that we're gonna shame people out of it.
People here in Colorado, like I've had homies that invite me over, or like, you know, my girlfriend's had friends that invite us over and they know that I do dabs, so they're like, "Oh, come over." and they'll bring out their piece. And dude, this one time they didn't even use a carb cap. Did your guy use a carb cap?
No, he did. Oh yeah,
No
he had a carb.
He slightly did it after I had, because I hit it, took my mouth off, blew out smoke. He didn't do it that time. Hit it again, blew smoke out, and then he capped it with the other dab container he had.
Yikes.
Yeah,
The container carb cap. That's classic. Dude, at least
Classic.
he did something. I don't
Yeah,
think they
yeah.
knew the carb cap technology.
The technology is funny as fuck.
Dude, in Jolly Roger's newest video, he's talking to like the mothership guy. Apparently that dude supposedly is like the inventor of the carb cap. I think is what they're saying. Or like he was one of the first people to figure out that like if you put something on top of it to create a vacuum, it'll evaporate better, and like you can do lower temperature dabs.
Like you recycle the heat back and forth.
Well, so do you guys know why carb caps are so important?
No, I would love for you to explain those to us, please.
Besides just the airflow, right?
What's that?
Like just the airflow and like temperature, like keeping the temperature inside.
So it does that, but so the biggest purpose of a carb cap is you create a vacuum, and that's what good e-rigs do too. So when you lower the air pressure, or is that raising the air pressure? I don't know. But when you create a vacuum like that, it basically lowers the boiling point. So that's why if you notice, like you'll see a good dab that like is just kind of sitting there bubbling, but it's not like actually vaporizing. But then when you start hitting it through the carb cap, that's when the vapor really starts being created, because you're creating a vacuum that's lowering the boiling point. So in addition to like moving the oil where you want it to go, and keeping the heat in and stuff like that, the main thing you're doing is creating a vacuum, and it's lowering that boiling point, and that's why you're able to do lower temp dabs. So like the better of a vacuum you create, or like the more the air is like kind of like funneled into a small space essentially, and also like being moved around, the more easily it can vaporize. So that's how you're able to like enjoy lower temperature dabs.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Science, bitch.
Yeah, dude. It's awesome.
That's pretty crazy. That's because I took 3 years of chemistry, and that should be like basic fucking common knowledge to my ass. But like too high to even think about it. Yeah. That's funny as hell though. That's lit. Yeah, I guess that does explain a lot.
Boiling points are very relevant to dabbing. People who are like super hardcore or like really into the medicinal values, they'll like figure out the boiling points of like specific terpenes and stuff like that. So they'll like try to hone in on like, oh, I really like this terpene, so I'm gonna vaporize this stuff to this specific temperature because that's the boiling point of that terpene or whatever. And I don't really care so much about the stuff that's at a higher temperature or whatever.
So you can like hone in on like the specific effects you want from each terpene if you mess with the boiling point.
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah, I know you like
trying to go for a real specific effect. What's that?
I know you like your low temp dabs, but are you a fan of high temp dabs at all?
I'll fuck around with a hot temp dab. I don't want to chaz my banger. Like if if it's past like most of my dabs are around 500 degrees. Usually I'll go in at like 530, 550 if it's a bigger dab, with like my slurpers and stuff. But yeah, no, I'd do like a 600 degree dab. I'd be scared and a little apprehensive. Anything over that, probably.
Right. At that point, you're just hurting yourself for the pleasure of hurting yourself.
For the longest time, we were just straight up using titanium needles on nectar collectors. Like that's all we were doing. So we were just getting it white hot and sticking it straight into the dab container.
Hold on, sticking it straight in is crazy. I definitely let mine cool off and then I did my shit.
Hit it straight in the dab container.
No, it's because your nail was old and it sucked and it cooled down fast.
Dude, one of my first dab setups was a silicone nectar collector that had a little water chamber in it, so it was a bubbler too. That thing was pretty sick.
Hell yeah.
Beautiful.
It had the fucking titanium nail though that like would always heat up, and then after a while it would just like randomly start dripping shit, and I would like try to clean it, and sometimes I would get like water in there, and it would like sizzle and be super crazy. It was a mess sometimes.
See, that's why I like if I do get a nectar collector, it would just only be a nectar collector, and I'd have to get something else for a bubble.
Yeah, I mean, I like my bubbles, but nectar collector seems like a little much to put water inside. It's too mobile.
Knowing me, I'd spill it everywhere.
Dude, it was spill proof to some extent. As long as you didn't like blow into it, you could do pretty much whatever with it. But I also didn't. It stayed in one spot, so I don't know how it would travel.
For us nectar collectors, that was our pocket thing to take.
We're taking it on car rides. We're in the bathroom at restaurants. We're in our own work. At work. He's just in the kitchen at work. On God,
dude. So how do you get this thing hot? Are you torching it, or are you using some apparatus in the kitchen?
No, yeah, I always have a torch.
We're sticking that bitch in the oven.
Now, yeah, I was gonna say one time I was working at a pizza restaurant, and I had thought about it because I ran out of butane in my torch, and I thought about just throwing it in the oven on a tray or something. But then I thought logistically, how would I get it back into the piece without like truly burning myself? And I just didn't have like tweezers or anything like that to try. So
I never fucking pivot, man. I can't imagine torching up a nectar collector at work.
That was everyday shit, and we thought we were sneaky. We're like, oh, we're gonna go hit this dab.
And then the large whistle sound you hear. Yeah. No, it was bad. But that was years ago before they even had, like, the proxy had probably just been dropped at that point.
Okay.
Like, the first time we ever saw a Puffco was probably around, like, 2019, maybe? That was, like, around...
Yeah, when they had the original Puffco, my cousin had it.
I don't even think it was the Pro. Like, it was just the original Peak.
Yeah, it was just the original Peak he had. It didn't work for very long because he broke the top for it, but... that was the only time I had tried something that nice of a rig before. Was that. Other than that, it was just bangers and stuff. And then I got my proxy, and I love that thing. And then my girlfriend, Alexi, got me the pivot for Christmas, and that's my favorite thing.
Oh, you do have a pivot?
I do have a pivot. I ended up getting one. Hell yeah!
The pivot it's the shivot.
Yeah, no, it's too fucking convenient for my own sanity. I'm like, oh man, I could do this anywhere now.
Oh yeah, like if they had this back when we were in high school, it would have been bad.
Dude, right? I mean, well, that's how it is with fucking carts, man. I wonder if I would have smoked weed in high school.
Well, okay, so
nowadays, because I didn't smoke weed until after high school.
Really? Yeah. So when did you start smoking?
Yeah, not until I was like 18, almost 19. I went to through my whole freshman year of college at the University of Missouri. I did a whole year there without ever trying weed, and I was the fucking kid from Colorado. So people would be like, "Oh, you're from Colorado, dude? Do you smoke weed? Do you ski?" I'd be like, "I do ski, but no, I don't smoke weed." So I could have gotten high for free all the time and like made hella friends. I fucked up.
Yeah,
because my mom.
You never say no to free drugs.
Doesn't like weed, and I love my mom, so I respected her by not smoking weed for a long time.
Hey, that's
is that just a religious thing for your mom?
No, dude.
Or is it?
It's just literally
like
a personal preference, honestly. I think
okay.
She saw it do negative things to her family members' lives. Just because, back in the day, people got in trouble or you had to lie or hide it and stuff like that. So I feel like it got people into trouble. And that's where the whole like gateway drug thing came into, was just the fact that it was illegal and people felt like it was a bad thing to do it. So they were more open to doing other bad things potentially.
But my mom didn't like it.
My parents, like in high school, they were the kind of people that let me start drinking when I was like 16 and or like 17, and they were like totally cool with me like being, and like trusted me to be responsible with it, because I was basically like always open and honest with any of my alcohol consumption with them. And so then when the time came for me to try smoking weed, I asked my mom, and she was just like, "I'd rather you didn't," and so I did.
I'd rather you did it. That's funny. So what was the first time you ever got high?
First time I ever got high was smoking in a park with two of my best friends from high school, Peter and Shane. We just like got stoned, smoking in on like a bowl type pipe. And then we went to Albert Tacos after, which
Nice.
was
Albert
like
Tacos?
our high school's like late night Mexican place,
Nice.
Oh yeah.
and it was fun.
How was
I
how was
liked it.
that first time for you?
What's that?
Like, how was that first time for you? Did you green out at all?
No greening
you
out.
enjoy
I
it?
think I just had a really great time. I feel like I got high. I was like extra giggly. It was really fun. I hated the way it made my throat feel. That was like my first
Yeah.
time smoking anything really, other than like hemp.
Cottonmouth is a bitch.
So
But
you didn't even try
yeah, I
like
was like
cigarettes or
18 or
anything?
19. What's that?
Oh, okay. So you didn't even try like cigarettes or anything?
I've
like that?
never smoked a cigarette.
Oh really?
Never
See, man,
have.
lucky there.
I'd probably
man.
throw up, dude. I'm such like a picky guy. Like that's part of why I don't smoke flower really at all either. It's because I never really liked smoking. It always was kind of gross to me, but I loved getting high, you know?
Right.
So that's why dabbing quickly grew on me. Once I found dabs, probably in like the beginning of 2018, late 2017, it was just like a slow decline of any flower consumption. And like pretty much all the money I spent very quickly was just dabs at that point. And then, you know, I went through the progression of shatter to more wax. And then I was like on to live resin and the nicer, those concentrates as much as I could. And now I'm to the bougie point where I smoke nothing but rosin.
Nothing. See, I'm trying to get to that point. I really love rosin.
I don't know, man.
It's way better than anything than BHO. That's
The
even live
high,
resin
the
doesn't
flavor.
compare.
There's some really yummy live BHO if it's made well. But the reality is like where the market's at right now, all of the like small batch, like all the people that like really give a shit and are making really fire stuff and not doing it like to a huge scale to make money, it's kind of more focused on rosin. So usually BHO is just like more of like a scale thing. And the
Get
thing
it
with
out.
rosin is like you have to have really, really good flour to make good rosin. Like you can't start with bad material and turn it into good material. Whereas with BHO and live products, you somewhat can a little more.
You just extract the most of what you really want out of the plant. So you can just throw however much in there, and as long as the end product is the 97, 95%, then boom, there you go.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And that's probably why rosin is always like a lot more expensive, because you would think that something that takes a whole lot like less energy, you know, just compared to pressing it, compared to like a whole lab with like scientists running it and stuff like that. You would think that
Well,
rosin would be
the way
less,
I
but
see
it's
that is like making a really nice BHO setup takes a lot of initial investment, but once you've made that investment, it's very cheap from that point, and the labor is pretty less intensive than rosin, whereas rosin takes a lot more manual labor. You
upkeep
can't
and
like
stuff.
automate the process quite as much, I don't think.
Clean
So,
everything
and
over
it's
and over
harder to
again.
like do it at scale as well. I feel like
It's all
are
about
like the main things in price difference. So it's like that just kind of lends to the fact that like the people who are doing BHO are usually these bigger operations where they make this huge investment. So they're needing to get like this return. So they're going to go with what's more like money efficient because of that, all this money that they put into like all this fancy equipment, you know. Whereas rosin, like you don't have to, the investment isn't quite as much in all the stuff as much as it is in like taking the time to make the really good stuff and like
because you
grow
got to
really
get the
good
good
flower, and like
material.
that's
You
where
got to watch your techniques and all that.
yeah. Because if you don't do that with rosin, then you're just wasting your time.
About how far away from you are you in life to just pressing your own shit?
Dude, I would love to try that. I
Because you
thought
still work at the
many times
dispensary,
of
right?
getting my own press.
Right.
But it's quite the setup, man. Like I know it to get a proper rosin making setup, I think it probably costs like around $10,000 probably
Yeah.
to get, because I need the press, you need the washer, you need a freeze dryer, and then those are like, and then like all the bubble bags and stuff. But like really the press, freeze dryer, and washer are like pretty hefty investments.
Oh, okay. Because I just seen Action Bronson use a goddamn hair straightener
Yeah.
with parchment paper, just fucking press nugs on the spot and just grab the oil straight off the fucking paper.
Well, are there like levels to like? I guess are there levels to rosin? Like, let's say you do just take some booth flour and press it. Would you even call that rosin?
So you're exactly right. There's a ton of different levels to rosin because there's like flower rosin and then there's hash rosin. So the stuff that I'm smoking is hash rosin, which is like has the extra step of washing the flower. And so the flower almost always needs to be freshly frozen or considered live. So the same stuff that you would make live resin or live batter out of, it's flour that's chopped at the perfect point, and then they freeze it with liquid nitrogen or some sort of like fancy freezer. And then you wash it in like these huge basins where you like agitate the flour with a paddle, and that knocks all the trichome heads off, and you freeze it to make everything more brittle. And so you're basically separating those trichome heads from all the plant matter. And then you like sieve that through different size mesh screens, and that's how you get the different micron ranges of rosin. And then that's what they press with heat. So like out of all the rosin I've smoked, 99% of it has been live hash rosin. Wow. The few flower rosin I think I've tried like a tiny bit. It hasn't been an enjoyable experience for me. And then there's also sometimes there's cured rosin, which is flour that is cured and then washed. So it's still made from hash, but it's cured rosin instead of live rosin. And that stuff, like, to me, live resin and live batter is way better than cured rosin. The live component is way more important than rosin versus live resin or BHO or whatever. It's getting that flour that's freshly frozen that really makes a difference in the concentrate. Because they used to make shatter back in the day that they would call live shatter that was made with freshly frozen material, but they just processed it in the most cheap way, and that shit was fire, dude, and it was super cheap.
Oh yeah, we've had some crazy slab wax back in the day.
That shit that was shattered, but it was fucking goopy as hell.
We were real goopy.
You had to scrape the parchment paper for hours. You'd be smoking on a little bit of paper, but it's worth it.
Do you have like a favorite consistency of dabs? Like more crumbly, more watery, greasy? Kind of like.
So I usually get the cold cure batters, and
batter.
I like. Let me find a good jar that has like a really nice consistency.
Batter's always the way to go.
If I have something. Yeah, so this jar from Simple Hash, this is like one of the most expensive jar, or the most expensive jar of rosin I have. It's got a really nice consistency to it. I'm gonna pop you guys over here while I zoom in with this camera so we can get a nice close up. All right, check this out.
Oh yeah, no, that's beautiful.
So that's I like how just about perfect. It's like almost, it like looks saucy, but it's still like solid. Really, it's almost like in between like Jell-O.
So you would call that pudding. The perfect consistency?
Yeah, it's pretty damn near perfect.
I agree. I agree.
Shout out to Simple Hash. This is a black market brand out here in Colorado. He used to go by Fidel Hash Bro. You can like see, and so like that's the best hilarious. Jars of rosin will tell you
Fidel Hash Bro
micron. So we've got the 73 to 159U.
Oh, okay.
Premium rosin. So it's like the upward side of the spectrum. And there's this like Instagram. There's this strain. Cute little art. Pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
No, that looks really good. I would go as far as to say is crumble sucks. I hate crumble.
Sucks. I hate dealing with it. If I don't have something
That
to
stuff
mix
is
with it,
mainly for people who like to mix it in with flour, I would say. There's a lot
Oh
of people
yeah.
who do that. It's like working
See,
at a
and
dispensary, you figure out all the different, there's like so many different types of concentrate users. Like there's people who do it everywhere. There's people who just smoke shatter. There's people who like the crumble. There's people who only get the huge buckets, you know. It's fascinating.
see, I like it all, but definitely, if I had choice, I'm choosing everything else over crumble.
and everything over crumble, but my preferred way is either shatter or not sauce, but like kind of like what he was showing us, where it's like firm still, where I can knock it off the tool if I don't have my hot knife on.
And like my favorite BHO would be a pretty similar to consistency to this stuff, to be honest. Like it's the live batters. Like live resin is always fun because of the diamonds are pretty. Like especially with my camera, I used to always love. It took me a while to give up diamonds just because I liked using them with my dab camera. But
It's a fun showstopper.
like a really good live batter will look really similar to rosin a lot of the time.
And that's what back to the
And that's usually
THCA
where all the
market.
terps are and all the flavor, all the good stuff.
Yeah, always good. The greasier the better. That's what I say.
Absolutely.
But back to the THCA, that's sort of the issue that I have here with like the smoke shops is that a lot of these places like they'll try to pass off like good looking live resin as and they'll call it rosin and that's what they'll be marketing it as. And it's like
Yeah, that's
crazy.
annoying.
It's just a matter of finding a good enough person, a good enough store that I trust, I guess.
And so, dude, you could use one of the things I talked about, like if they don't have the micron on it, maybe might be an indicator that they, you know, that's just an indicator that they really know rosin and they're like trying to market it to people who know rosin or like savvy consumers. I don't know how
Before your
often,
video,
but I mean, even the Hello Mary jar has the micron on it. It says 70 to 149 U here. So when you see stuff like that, I feel like that's a really like that's one of those things that makes you trust it. Because then if they put that, then they're literally lying about it being rosin. Like, or if it's not rosin, I guess
that's crazy. That's because
it's lying in the first place if they claim it to be rosin anyway. But
yeah. The first time I didn't even know that was a real thing, you know, that brands were out here putting the micron count on the THCA products until I saw your video and when I saw that I was like, damn, this whole time I've been smoking boof. It was very eye-opening.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's like the micron thing, even like I tried to make a video about it last year and I never put the video out. And I like sometimes I go back and watch it and I like the amount of knowledge I've gained and like learned. It kind of makes me happy I haven't put it out. It's like because I've learned like even back then I was like, damn, I didn't really know that much about it. There really is a ton to learn about it if you're not like actually doing it. One of the best resources to learn about this stuff, I don't know, like speaking of podcasts, do you guys mind if I plug another podcast?
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Fucking Terpene Therapy is like the best rosin. Like he just like travels around the country interviewing hash makers. So that's basically where I've learned like everything about rosin and like hash making is through that podcast and a few different podcasts. So podcasts are like best resources for all of that stuff. And now you guys are one of those resources too, you know?
And we're here. We're here for the dummies who don't know what they're doing, so that way they can find us to find you, so that they can find the good, the smart, even smarter people who do it for a living. We're just consumers, and then you're the activists.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, no, like I feel that way when it comes to like crypto stuff. Is like I want to be the person that like helps break it down to the people who don't know fucking shit about crypto. You know, and that's such a valuable role to be like that middleman between the experts and the general population.
Well, that's not to be like too religious, but that's the whole story of the Bible. That's what Jesus is. He's the cross. You gotta be the connection. You gotta be the bridge.
Dude, totally.
Damn, it's pretty crazy.
He just
All the
took
same
it
shit on different levels. Goddamn.
philosophical. Fucking, I was gonna say something.
While you're looking for that, we actually had a couple of questions that we did write down to ask you. We've already asked a couple of them, I believe.
Yeah, we already got through.
Hit me.
I think 2 of them. What's your favorite like feeling of getting high? Like where? At what point do you like? Are you getting high? You're like, oh, that's my fucking Q spot. That's the sweet spot I love to hit.
What do you look for?
The sweet spot
Because
of
for
like
me,
stonedness.
Yeah. So like for
Dude.
me, I love when I'm just sitting there, like when like my mind can entertain itself, and then all of a sudden I can feel my feet just slowly lifting off the ground.
Oh, I know that feeling. I used to get that
Yeah.
feeling, that body high when I first
Yeah,
started
yeah.
getting stoned. I feel like I don't take enough time to just like sit and listen to my body as much as I did when I first got stoned, you know?
It's always
For
important to
me,
make sure we take for our side.
I feel like cannabis has always been like a very social thing. That's why I love streaming so much. And like making my stream about getting high is like when I'm super high, I get like kind of chatty and talkative. Whereas like I normally don't talk that much when I'm not super high. So that's one of the
and I go the
indicators
other
for
way.
me is I get chatty, and then especially like with edibles, I'll start getting very like grandiose ideas that I think like, oh, this is like a fucking sick idea. And like sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, you know, and I feel like that's one of our jobs as creators and creatives is to like either write those ideas down, or for me, lots of times when it comes to ideas like that, I'll let it go and I'll say like it'll come back to me if it's like really something that's like worth doing.
Yeah, that's what I've
like
heard before.
is kind of a lazy attitude. I should probably like there's definitely a lot of stuff that like I've probably come up with that I should have executed on and never did just because I was like super stoned, and then I started having like 10 ideas after it, you know.
Well, you say that, but then you got motherfuckers like this dude right here.
I was just about to say that shit.
We were thinking about doing TikTok videos the other day. We were hanging out and recording, and he was like, "Well, I have this idea, but I have no idea what it means. Can you repeat that? What it was?"
I just wrote it. I wrote it down in the heat of the moment, and when I opened my book, it just said, "Get hard, misunderstanding."
And so we're sitting there like trying to decipher, what could that possibly mean?
No, I don't know. I don't know what I meant. Just all caps letters, a whole page in my notebook. Get hard.
Get hard. Yeah, don't know what that means.
Don't know what that means. Don't know what.
I don't remember what he said about anything about getting hard. So I was like, whoa. Let's track it back some.
That's hilarious.
I got another question for you right here. So out of you said so 2018 you found dabs?
Yeah, probably around then.
So we're like what, 6 years? You're like 6 years into dabbing?
Dabbing for about 6 years. Dabbing my fucking ass off.
Smoking consistently, enjoying this content creator life in the cannabis industry. But what are you looking to gain? Like, what does your end goal truly look like? Like, is it just the internet creating? I know that you got your tool store, which we can plug that in at the end of this.
Oh, dude, no, that is like that's a very small thing. That's just kind of like a fun little thing I tried, which that is making dab tools made out of with like crystal handles. But yeah, for a second I was like, maybe I could make money off of this, but no. For me, the whole content creation thing, like I definitely am trying to make it a career, but I've always had very lofty ambitions in life. Like I just have a general desire to like help the world. I've always felt like the more eyes I get on me, the more I can help people in some way. Like when people pay attention to what I'm doing, like I can help make them happy or like somehow improve their life in a way, whether it's like by giving them advice or all sorts of different stuff, you know, just like having a good time and trying to share my energy or my life when it comes to like streaming and stuff like that. So yeah, with like cannabis content, like I totally hope to help the whole world become like more 420 friendly and like learn how to use cannabis in a more educated and like informed way, you know, basically like I myself am very focused on dabs, but like I definitely want to make more content around edibles because that's one of the best ways for you to consume cannabis. And you know, I have all these like I've had crazy dreams in my life. Like I wanted to be like the first Twitch streamer to host a episode of SNL, which I don't know if that has already passed. I'm sure there's someone who's a streamer who's hosted it at some point, but maybe I can make that happen still.
I don't think it happened yet.
But like
we're still there.
With cannabis, I want to be like, it would be really cool to be like the Bill Nye of like dabs and cannabis at some point too. So, and it's like I say stuff like that, and then I know what I would need to do to get there. It's like I'm not making that content. I need to make more educational content, stuff like that. It's like I always have like all these ideas of stuff that I want to do, and then it's just like bouncing around in my brain for like sometimes it feels like too long. And then when the point where it like finally comes out, it's like, fuck, man, it's like that's been in there for so long. You have like such a perfectionist approach to it when you sit on an idea for too long. I feel like that's something I've struggled with lately, is like if I have this idea of this video that I want to make, like for instance, I have these super cool jars right here. I want to make a video called Coolest Jars in Colorado, but I've like been wanting to make this video for like almost a year now. And so I've like built up so many ideas in my brain, and I feel like I really want to like try to do cool stuff with it. And something about that as a creator, I don't know if you guys experience this, where like the longer you sit on something, it feels like it gets harder and harder to get, whether it's like trying to edit something and put it out, or just like an idea that you need to film and like get into progress. Yeah, sorry, I just that was a long way.
No, we know exactly. Like, there's literally, I have clips of a video of us just going around the city, just being slumped, like just getting all stupid somewhere just because we're high around the city. And I have all those clips for a year. Yeah, I've been sitting on those clips for a year.
I'd say almost close to 2 years now.
And so we completely get it. But something that I've learned that it's still taking me like to try to get in the motion of actually doing it is like, the ideas, it's all about the flow. Like once you get the idea, you gotta hop on it and go with it, because if you don't follow that wave crashes and dies.
Have we talked about what this podcast was supposed to be called yet? Okay, so we were supposed to do this podcast years ago. Like when we first started calling ourselves 42T, we were going to do this podcast. Like that was the idea, the original idea. Well, then I don't know, it was just laziness. Really got in front of us. The pandemic happened. We moved out. Life takes us into certain directions. We went to Colorado for the first time, and eventually we got to TikTok and started making videos on there. But this was always supposed to be called A Sea of Green,
like from the Beatles song "Yellow Submarine." Okay. We all live in a yellow submarine.
But
because we actually have a yellow submarine. This was one of our first pieces that we bought together.
Oh, sick.
But
that's awesome.
By the time that we actually sat down, started recording stuff, we got the mics and stuff that my girlfriend got us for our anniversary, I believe, or it was either Christmas or anniversary. It's about the same time. But what you can call it. Well, there was already 3 other podcasts called Sea of Green.
Oh no.
Yeah. So we were like, well, we can't be the 4th one. Yeah. So we might as well just switch it up now while we're still making it. And so now it's officially called Bong Noises, and hopefully we could just keep continuing it on from there. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because there's been times, especially within this last month, February was a really hard month to get shit done.
It just moved so fast.
It moved so fast, but it also felt really slow. And we had these ideas and we had like these plans to do stuff, but when we did them, we only did half of it. We never finished the other half. Like there were so many TikTok ideas we had in January. In February, we just slacked hard. And so this week we started getting back into it. And I'm like, man, where has this energy been? We just lose it. And I know exactly what you mean.
It's just riding the wave, and that's what it is. I don't know how to surf though.
Surfing is hard. I don't even know how to skateboard. I don't think I could stand on a skateboard if I tried. That's how uneducated I am on fucking my own balance. Balance is the word. Hell no. All right, I'm ready to take another dab. You already took a dab.
Yeah, I took a dab. I just took
another dab too. I was thinking about that.
I'm not going to be left out.
What color system do you like on your on your peak
White.
or the white?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd probably hit it on white on the proxy too. I've only
Do you
hit
ever
the
do
proxy a couple
the?
times. One of
Do you
which
ever
was with
do
you.
the?
What's that?
Yeah. Do you ever do the like the boost
Were you doing the
level
rainbow
on the
mode?
white? I'm doing the pastel mode.
What's that?
So if you click, I don't know if it does it for the peak. You click it 3 times, it does the rainbow. You click it 5 times on the white, and it gives you this little pastel rainbow.
Okay,
And
yeah. We have that one.
I
Yeah,
I
Easter egg
believe it
mode, I
goes.
think.
Yeah. I thought it gets hotter than the rainbow one, but my cousin was telling me I'm confused. But I was like, okay.
Yeah, I think that's like the extra hot one. I haven't done that shit in a long ass time, man. I'd be scared too, to be honest. I'm good on that. Dude,
The curse of not
I'm
using the
supposed to
hot
have
mode.
a third-party atomizers come in for both my new peak and my Carta 2.
Nice.
They've been en route for over a month. I ordered them on the 20th of January and they're still not here.
Where were they
Kind
coming
of
from?
annoying. From this company 3 grams. So I'm about to start shit talking them if they don't arrive soon.
Goddamn.
I'm gonna be super salty if they never fucking show up.
Well, I ordered like these little air fresheners, and they took like over a month to get here.
You got me. I feel like the album, or I just bought, or my girlfriend got me the Tiny Desk concert from Action Bronson on vinyl.
Okay, that sounds cool.
It took maybe a week to get here, and then it was supposed to be delivered on a Tuesday, and I didn't get it till Thursday. That was the toughest it's been for me with shipping and stuff.
Damn.
Other than that, I usually have 2-3 days, and it's always fucking here.
I'm gonna do a dab of Slurricane.
That's nice.
See, we've got the Micron here. Trichome Collective.
I got some diamonds and sauce. We got THCA diamonds in Delta 8 and HHC sauce. It's White Widow.
Nice.
Skywalker OG.
So the nice thing about just straight THCA is there's no like no synthetic conversions, because technically most Delta 8 and all HHC, or no, all Delta 8 is like
made from CBD.
Synthetic, as it was started as CBD, and yeah, they convert it into it through some sort of process. Which it's like, if you're someone who, like, I feel like that doesn't really matter, but there's certain people that are like, you know, oh, it's from nature. If you're the kind of person that like you only want the natural stuff that the plant makes, like it's cool that people can get that with just if they do just the THCA stuff. Like that is
it's vegan weed.
Vegan weed, exactly.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
That's literally what it is, and I'm all for it, honestly.
Dude, I am too, to be honest.
I just don't like the Delta 8 we get here, I guess.
I never liked Delta 8. HHC I dug a little bit. HHC I could like kind of get down with when I first tried it. But once like now that THCA is an option, like I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice if you're getting anything else.
You can answer this after you hit your dab. I see that nice melt shot going. But what's it called? With the THCA hash rosin, how would you compare that to like some of the other rosin you get medically? Because even though THCA is still just like part of the plant and really no different from what you can find in other places, when I do use just pure THCA, I do notice that there is a difference compared if I were to go to like say New Mexico and get the same thing. It's like more of a, for me, it seems to be more of like a head high feeling, like center of my forehead, and less of like a well-rounded, nice body high, which is what I tend to look for.
Yeah, so that's exactly basically the difference that you should find in products that are properly testing under that active THC, and it's like almost all THCA. That's basically meaning that it was chopped early. And so what that means is you're not going to have any of those secondary metabolites that like develop earlier, because there's like this really cool infographic that basically shows the progression of how all these different compounds are made. Like it starts as CBG, or like CBGA turns into CBG, and then over time that CBG will turn into like CBD and other minor cannabinoids, and like THCA will turn it, or like some of that CBG will turn into THCA, and the THCA then converts into THC. And so like certain terpenes, and there's, you know, all these other different compounds like esters and alcohols and flavonoids that like probably take a lot longer to develop, or potentially, you know, I have no idea. But I have noticed a similar thing with some THCA products where it's more of a head high, which is probably more or maybe less noticeable in dabs, because I feel like dabs in general are kind of more of a head high. So I haven't messed with a whole lot of THCA flower. I wonder if it's the same with THCA flower. I don't mess with enough flower to really make a judgment on it.
The THCA flower really hits me in the head most times. I definitely don't feel it in the body as much as I do like if I get something off the street here. But yeah, that's the best way I can describe it, because I feel more of a body high if I do something that like if I get it from my dealer here. But the THCA, when I can get it in the store, it's usually just the head high. It's usually just the fog minded, and you're like, oh.
Sometimes not even like the fog minded. Like I don't know. It literally feels like THC light, like the demo version almost.
It definitely doesn't last half the time.
So
that is one thing
with
I've
that
noticed
being
with
said,
THCA.
though, I've had some THCA rosin that's like totally on par with like some of my favorite rosin in my dispensary. So like I found that
it always varies brand to brand, but that's just been my experience.
And even within the same brand, you know, like I've had certain ones from my favorite brand, Lucky Elk, that are just like misses, but then other ones that like are totally fire and kind of like feels like I get a pretty good body high.
And that's usually just strain preference, I guess.
It
Do
might
you have
be
a strain
preference,
preferences?
but what's that?
Do you have strain preferences?
I'm very picky. Yeah, I like avoid most sativas. There's like only certain sativas that I'll mess with. And like any orange or like lemony strains, I kind of have to avoid because they'll give me like headaches and migraines. Like this stuff, this blueberry muffin from Lucky Elk is like one of the yummiest grams I've had this year, and that's THCA.
Okay.
So it's pretty crazy. And so to me, it's like I don't know if this stuff, if you tested it again, maybe this stuff is better because maybe they tested it earlier and then it matured a little bit, or, you know, I don't know how the testing systems work.
Yeah, it's all kind of loopholey.
I'm sure there's a fuckload of companies on the hemp market that completely bullshit their test results. And the way we know that is because there's companies in the medical and recreational, you know, like the like literal federal markets that are like the most regular markets. There's people that have been bullshitting their tests, you know, with all the stuff that came out with like
with the
California
and all
brands
that.
and shit like that.
Oh, that's what was going on. Okay.
That was like sometime last year, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
where they had like all sorts of fucking pesticides and crazy stuff, and they were basically like bullshitting their test results.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I just want to smoke proper.
Anywhere you go, whether it's a dispensary, black market, or a website that's selling hemp or whatever, you know, like I have been saying over and over again, like there's all the products. There's stuff that's like got pesticides in it, you know, that except for, dude, I feel like that stuff might be less likely on the black market potentially, like stuff that's really bad, because that's black market stuff exists almost purely off of reputation. So like the second someone gets something bad, like that's the thing with rosin and weed, is like if you get bad stuff, like it kind of fucks you up, and you realize that most people like it's kind of hard to like hide bad product a lot of the time.
Yeah, because when if it's just not smokable, it's just not smokable. Like if your body's not going to deal with it, it's not going to deal with it.
Yeah, But yeah, anywhere you go, you can find like stuff that might be potentially hurting you. So really the best thing, like at the end of the day, like if I want to be like the best cannabis advocate I can be, the best thing for people to do is grow their own, you know, and that's like where like we will really want like all the legislature to go when it comes to like any sort of like legalization is like you got to protect people's rights to be able to grow their own medicine, because that's when you really can choose what you're growing and how you're growing it and stuff like that, you know. Or just like the next step beyond that is like knowing your farmer or whatever, like the same way people try to tell you with food, I guess, probably is like knowing exactly where it comes from. But you know, if you know the person that grows it,
that's what I was about to say. That's pretty much the end goal for
safer.
like
I don't know.
me is I want to be able to like grow my own stuff, press my own stuff, process my own stuff into my own stuff.
Yeah.
You can't trust nobody but yourself at that point.
I also would like to do that, but I also know how fucking hard growing is. I'm like, have you guys grown any weed before?
Allegedly, we know someone who has.
You know someone who has? Okay, because I had tried once. We got like a sponsorship at my old streaming house, and they sent us the grow tent and all the nutrients and like all the stuff, like thousands of dollars worth of material. And then I still like totally botched my first attempt at it. And like they all hermed and like looked like shit. And like I did just about everything wrong that you could have.
Where'd you get this?
What's that?
The seeds. Like
the seeds?
Where did you...
They were from a homie out of California who's like a breeder.
Oh, okay.
Who got us the sponsorship.
Oh shit, guys! It was just it's 4:21 over here where we're at. So
oh shit,
I'm
we just missed 420.
So yeah, we just slightly missed 420. Oh, I don't know where my fucking knife is.
It took too long to load up the dab.
Oh, you go ahead and hit that bomb. Oh look, I was sitting on it, dumbass. Ugh.
Cheers.
Okay, so you had a birthday recently, right, Jack?
I sure did. Yeah.
Okay, so
turned 32.
When I met you, nice. Happy birthday! Happy late birthday!
Oh, thank you.
Happy birthday! And when I met you, it was the day before my birthday last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I had met you, you had gave me a nice little baggie of stuff, and one of those things was a 10-pack of 100 milligram edibles. Do you remember this?
I don't remember it well, but I know I probably gave you a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Okay,
I definitely wouldn't remember exactly what it was though.
Okay, I forget what the brand was, but it's the one with the eye.
Okay, dosed. Yeah.
Yes. So you give me these things, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, the blood orange ones.
Yeah. So right now I'm gonna give you my review of them right now because
fuck yeah.
I will never be able to get that taste of orange out of my mouth.
Dude, that flavor sucks.
Yeah, that flavor was ass.
That shit is like as medicinal as it gets. Like you eat it like a quarter of it.
Yeah, I think the only thing that could be worse than that flavor is like a grape flavor, and that just because the grape flavor would just be way too strong. And that's solely based off the Keef Colas I've ever had because I don't like the grape flavor in those either.
Yeah, fucking Keef Colas.
But I take one the day of my birthday, or I take half of one. Chilling the whole time. It was a great time. We get to the aquarium. I take the other half. Finish out the night, and it was a great time. So 2 days later, when we're going to leave Colorado, I pop a half one in the morning. I get dressed, get ready, we have breakfast, and then right before we take off, I pop the other half. And I got all the way to, we were in Denver, I got all the way to Trinidad, and I was like, man, this isn't really hitting, but now I'm talking shit, hopefully it will kick. And I had maybe a slight buzz the entire drive back from where we're from, right?
Uh-huh.
So when I get back home that night, it's like we left pretty early, so it was like maybe 7 o'clock here when we got back, and I was like, man, I didn't feel fucking nothing. Like, what the hell? So I was like, you know what, fuck it. We're going to go have dinner and pick up my dogs from my mother-in-law's house. And I was like, fuck it. Let me just throw a whole nother one in my mouth.
Uh-huh.
And that was where I went wrong.
Damn.
So we get to her mom's house. I'm the inherent roller of usually every group. So immediately they just hand me the stuff and I start rolling. And for some reason, I like kept putting it off. Like in my head, I was just so high. I was just like, oh, I forget. Oh man, I forgot I need to do this. Oh man, I forgot. I kept forgetting to do this. So then it gets to the point where I ate, right? And I am progressively keep getting higher. And it's just not slowing down at all for me. These motherfuckers greened me out so hard. Like, my mother-in-law had just moved into this new house. We were there, like, they were there within the first week, and I fucking threw up all over their guest bathroom.
Oh no!
It was so tough. It was so tough.
When was the last time you threw up from getting that high like that?
Oh
Before
man, God. The time before that, I had edibles. I had fucking, because in Trinidad they had the 10-pack of tins. I threw all 100 of them in my mouth. all the whole 100 milligram in my mouth. Also all 10 of them. And it's because I had ate Chinese buffet. And I was so full that I threw up. Because I would have thrown up if I wasn't high. But because I was
Damn.
high off those edibles, it
You
was
like
just 10 times
overate
worse.
because of the edibles. I've heard a lot of people that like can't eat edibles because they'll literally not be able to stop themselves from like overeating.
Yeah, no, it's tough.
Like,
You
to
really
the point
gotta
they make
fucking.
themselves sick.
Yeah, it's tough. And so I fucking just fell on my bed, fell asleep, and then woke up kind of like not hungover, but still high. And I was like, oh, that wasn't worth it. So when I get those edibles, they would treat me nice that first day. I was like, okay, cool. Well, on our way home, I fucking overdid it with 200 milligrams that hit me all at once. So, and then by the end of that bag, I had one more, and I was like, all right, fuck it. Fuck it. I'm going to take half we were going to have this family event, and then I was like, I'll take the other half for another family event. Well, the second family event fucking canceled, and I got a decent high off of the first half. So that second half was just chilling for a minute, and Beetlejuice had came out. I fucking took it to go watch the new Beetlejuice, and boy, that half hit me just as hard as that 200 milligram that from the second night I had them, and it was tough. It was a tough ride watching Beetlejuice. I was like, oh, like trying to not throw up. It was tough.
Damn.
So one half of one hit you as hard as two of them?
Yes. And yeah, it was crazy. Uh-huh. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
of course.
Oh yeah, you know what? Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
That's
the
hilarious.
point of me telling you all that was to tell you I enjoyed them a lot of them. I enjoyed all of them.
I'm glad to hear
But
that, man.
it was one hell of an experience to have 100 milligram edibles, and I was only able to have that because of you. So I thank you. Other than that, man, everything in that damn bag was fucking fantastic. Yeah, like there was not one thing that fucking disappointed me at all.
Good.
Even which one? There was some.
Yeah, didn't I give
like
you a
the
weird one,
Mexican
like a
candy.
chamoy one or something?
Yes, the chamoy. It's exact. Even the chamoy one. Alexi had the chamoy one, and
I
she
was
said
like,
it was
there's gonna
really
be
good.
someone that will like this, probably.
Yeah, there's some brown person out there.
Dude, there's always someone that likes like weird flavors and like hot shit like that, you know.
Yeah, well, and like we went to New Mexico, me and my brother, for his birthday to get some stuff, and they just had samples of the candy flavor. Like you can have as many as you want. They just didn't have anything in them, so they give us a chamoy one, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. Oh, I was like, this fucking is awful. I would have not enjoyed that at all.
Chamoy is nasty. I cannot. It's the opposite
No.
of my flavored palette.
Yeah. I like Skittles. Fuck.
Right. Same.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
we'll see. Well, we just talked about the edibles and Mr. Fiend's bad experience, so we'll go ahead and move on to this question. What is your like best experience getting high? Like, is there a moment in time where you were just like, oh, like this is perfect? And then what your worst experience getting high? Like a bad trip or something like that?
I can't think of like a really like pinnacle experience, so I'm just gonna come up with one recent one that I had, which was when I became friends with like my favorite glassblower, the dude who made the 13-foot bong. Basically,
Nice.
There was this guy, his name's Honeycomb. He was streaming and he was visiting his studio, and I like woke up one morning and saw his stream that he was at this dude's glassblowing studio. I was like, oh fuck, I want to be friends with those guys. And he's like, he's in my town. I'm like, that's like 10 minutes away from me. So I took some rosin over there and I like dropped it off. And they basically like invited me to sesh with them, and I became good buddies with them. And so like doing dabs with both of those guys, like they're just like the two of those dudes that I'm just like huge fans of, but I also am really confident that I could like be really good friends with, you know? So it's just that feeling. I feel like cannabis has helped me do that with a lot of different people in my life. And that's one of the dopest feelings is to be able to like connect with people that you thought you might never be able to, and like just make those connections that you really value and like feel like just like bring you a ton of joy. Then as far as like a bad one was, dude, shows you how I live my life. I live my life very much in the moment. Yesterday, I had a really bad migraine because if I do like the wrong dabs, like I got this new gram from my favorite company. I want to try everything that this company puts out, just about everything, unless I'm like super confident I won't like it. But there's this one strain, white maple, which like anything white is usually like more of a sativa. Black maple, very popular strain this year. I like any black maple cross that leans more indica. Black maple itself, I will smoke. I'm not like stoked on it. But the white maple, I feel like that shit like almost straight up gave me a migraine yesterday. And after I did my last dab at like 5 p.m. or something, I basically just had to like lay in bed for the rest of the night, feeling like I was gonna throw up from a migraine. Until like 1 a.m. last night. It was awful.
That's terrible.
And you know, that's me like not consuming responsibly, over consuming, like, because to me I am pretty confident that it's like almost always the dabs that are giving me migraines like that, because it never really happens. It's never happened when I'm not like getting super stoned all day, basically.
Well, here's a classic
it feels like it's
question for you
either
on
a
that.
combination of the wrong strain or just like THC overload.
I was gonna say, well, here's a question for you on that. How much water do you be consuming if you're
Never
smoking
enough.
that heavy?
Never.
Yeah, I was like, you always gotta stay hydrated. That's
Speaking
the
of, my cup's dry. So now that you guys say that, I didn't want to do it and be rude, but now that we're talking about it, I am gonna sneak downstairs real quick to grab some water. I'll let you guys
go
say
right
hi
ahead.
to the cat.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Nice catch.
I didn't catch it. It just landed on my fucking chair. Oh, he's going downstairs too. Never mind.
He goes, I know where we're going. He goes, I'll meet you down there. Oh man.
Crazy.
Okay. I'll be right back.
I want to.
No problem. Oh dang, that's crazy.
Sick.
The stair cam is wild.
I'm gonna try to finish this off.
Dang. Now I feel bad. I feel like we've been keeping him hostage. Go piss, girl.
Is that a TikTok or something?
I swear it was like a little meme for a while.
That's funny. I never heard that. Yo, this girl's crazy. I think I should load another dab. I'll load another dab, take a good sip of water too. I was going to ask you a little bit ago, are you staying hydrated? Because I don't even think you had to open your bottle.
I haven't opened it. Exactly.
What's the craziest thing you've ever had to take a hit from?
Contraptions. Anything you had to make?
Oh. Yeah, the crazy other things would be other pieces from the dude who made the 13-foot bong, Bear Mountain Studios, aka Evan. His Instagram is They Did It, but the E and they is a 3. If you don't follow him on Instagram, you absolutely need to. It's like one of the coolest accounts on the planet, on the whole thing. But like as far as something I've made, when I lived in Chicago, like I made a bong out of like a big glass like beer growler thing. So it's just like a huge oversized bong. I still have that in my like storage unit. I've been thinking about trying to like grab it and then refurbish it because it never worked well. I remember I used like, because it was just a normal down stem and the seal wasn't good. So I had to use like a baby bottle cap, and I would like cut a hole in the tip of it, and then like shove the down stem through that to like make it like properly air seal. It was always like super duper janky. So that was like my first like dope bong that I made.
We would love to see a picture.
That's the only
of that,
bong
honestly.
I've ever really made since then, besides like the plastic bottle before that.
Yeah, you dabbled in making some gravity bongs.
I never made any gravity bongs. The plastic bottle bong was like similar. It used like a wrench piece as a down stem. And it was just like a plastic water bottle that I like burned a hole in or something. I don't even remember.
We've had a few friends make the good old classic apple bong or apple pipe.
Jankiest thing I've ever smoked out of was probably like a Mountain Dew can. I've done that once for sure.
The very first time I smoked was out of a can pipe like that.
The first time they got you high, they couldn't even get you a pipe?
No, the first time I got high, I smoked a blunt. The first time I smoked out of a Coke can.
Wait, so what's the difference?
So the first time I smoked, I was like in seventh grade. Not really. We were smoking like some dirt, like probably oregano type shit.
Yeah.
And
who knows?
I just felt like
weed.
Yeah, I felt like maybe lightheaded, and it was whatever. But then when I turned 15, like my family, as a celebration for my 15th birthday, they all smoked a blunt with me on New Year's.
Nice.
And that was the first time I got high, and I was there just playing Call of Duty, and then I just was like so focused, and then I just felt all my family watching me, and I just started getting paranoid, and I finally said something to them, and I was like, "Why are y'all just watching me? Like I'm gonna do something. I'm just living."
He's doing it. He's high.
Yeah. And then I went on like a whole rant about. I went a whole rant about candies on how Mr. Goodbar is a respected candy because he's got Mr. in front of his name, but like Dr. Pepper is should be more respected because he actually went out and got a degree.
You should write that into a bit. That's hilarious.
It's gonna be the first time I got high. That's gonna be the story.
That is hilarious. Yeah, dude, that's so different from my experience because like my mom was like somewhat anti-weed. My sister probably even more anti-weed. Just because she was always like a very do things by the books kind of person as well. But my dad was like a closet stoner, so I didn't realize that he like smoked weed all the time until I basically like revealed to my family that I was getting high all the time, and that was when I was living in Chicago in like 2015, 2016. And yeah, that was probably part of what made me feel comfortable to start smoking all the time. And like, I like made a conscious decision to like kind of adapt a stoner persona and like kind of make it a part of who I was while I was living in Chicago. And I wonder if maybe that part of why I was able to do that or why I did that was because I was like far away from my family. I like felt more comfortable kind of like finding who I was. And then after, like shortly after, I sort of like revealed to my family that I was smoking weed and like stoned all the time. That was when I like moved home to Colorado so that I could do it more responsibly and get my medical card and shit. Back to Colorado.
Well, here's a
Good
great
old Colorado.
here's a great question hinging off what you just said. What does this persona mean to you? Being the dab lad.
So yeah, I think just like having a stoner persona, to me means that like you're someone who's very open and like somewhat loving and is like a generally a kind person. But like being the dab lad specifically, to me, like dabbing is all about the combination of like nature and technology because it's basically like taking the plant and applying technology to it. So for me, like that's part of who I am even before like coming up with the name Dablad is like I've always enjoyed technology and trying to find ways to like incorporate it into our lives that's like actually helping us because you know like just like with everything like with fucking cell phones like if we use it like most of the time if we're not very like conscious about the way we're using it and like trying to like really educate ourselves about how we're using things or the technology that we have around us it in a lot of ways can like degrade our lifestyles and like be shitty for us but when used properly like it could really like bring a lot of value to our lives. Sorry, my cat is like meowing at me and distracting the shit. But yeah, so like to me, I'm it's like a combination of like technology and cannabis is what being a dablad is about. Because my name is Jack the Dablad, but I've always wanted to be like one of many dablads. Like I don't consider myself like the dablad. Like I've always like to me anyone who lives this lifestyle like to me it's a brand you know like anyone who lives a lifestyle where they're like oh I love getting high but I don't really like smoking weed because I just really love vaporizing and like hash rosin is like the fucking best way to do it and it's so fire like to me that's what a dab lab is and there's a lot of people out there that like are that person but might not necessarily consider themselves that so the hope is like you know as I create my content build that brand people will kind of resonate with that sort of idea and lifestyle. And of course, like that applies like beyond cannabis. It's about trying to utilize technology, like you know, AI. AI can be super shitty and like fuck up a lot of stuff right now, but it also will be able to use it to like do a lot of really cool stuff. And so I've always been like super into AI and like how we can utilize that like for instance with like growing there's like I just listened to another really dope podcast where this guy is making a chat bot where he's training that chat bot specifically on all like his own personal curated resources like educational papers specifically for like growing plants and growing cannabis so that he's basically building this resource for growers to be able to be like I have my plants here, it's this strain, and it'll like tell you exactly how to do it and like give you all the tips you need and stuff like that. Or you can like send it a photo of your plants and it'll tell you that it's a nitrogen deficiency or whatever like that.
That's crazy. Yeah, no.
That's the good side of AI. All I think about is the bad side of AI.
That's really all cool. Most people think about. So that's the problem with technology, you know, is like, and that's human nature is we focus on the bad, you know, it's like the stuff that hurts us is what takes our attention most of the time. So we have to be really kind of struggle or like really focused to try to bring our attention to the ways things can be better or like the ways we can improve things.
It's good you just used that word, attention. I was the whole time you were explaining the way that you feel about your persona, Jack the Dablad. Like that's a very wonderful way to put it. And you're basically putting your intention and attention to not only the good sides of, because you say you're at where technology meets cannabis, but you're at where the good parts of cannabis meet the good parts of technology. And so it's just where I love where you're putting your attention, your intention, like that. It's like not even like your persona, like your energy is really what I'm talking about. It's really good.
I'm glad that like because you were talking about the your favorite glass blower and the other guy, I forget what he does, but I was like, that's what it feels like, to meet you for the first time and like to have this like friendship now that we can, share content. Yeah, share content together.
Like share our
it's
content
nice to
journey
know,
together as we try to grow up at following.
Yeah, and that's exactly why when we were considering guests, as soon as we started to get this truly rolling, I said the first one that has to be is JacktheDablad, because you are a true first connection on sharing content ever. So we appreciate you. We appreciate your content more than anything. We love the ideas. You have such great, beautiful ideas, and I definitely would like to see anything you just talked about today, like ideas wise. We would love to see at any point on your channel or anything. But
I appreciate
that. We wish
Thank
you the best,
guys.
Mr. Jack. We're gonna go ahead and end it for our podcast at least with this question: what does getting high mean and done for you? Because we live in this society where it's not very looked upon proudly about, but for us as cannabis users, we get certain things out of doing this, not only for medical reasons, but like everyday usage.
Yeah.
Like
So
what has this plant truly done for you?
The main reasons I use cannabis, I feel like it brings me a lot of social benefit. Like it just really helps me connect with people. I've always felt like very disconnected from my fellow human being before I got stoned, and like ever since finding that feeling of getting high, for me it's just like kind of opened me up to connecting with others in a way I never was able to before. So that's really important for me. I've always struggled with depression, so it definitely like just like gives me that mood boost that kind of allows me to like sort of it feels like um, basically like intercept what my body naturally tries to do, which I think my body just naturally wants to make me sad, because I think it's mostly because I have like really bad sleep apnea that's untreated. But we all have like different stuff that can make us feel a certain type of way or another. And I think the hard thing for me was like for a long time I never had anything I could specifically point to for why I was feeling a certain way. I just had this general feeling of like depression or like sadness, despite having like it felt like not a whole lot of reason to feel that way. And so like that's why like obviously your personal health is really important, because even just knowing that I have sleep apnea, like knowing that I have like that inclination to potentially like feel depressed because of that, like that makes me feel so much better to know that, even if I haven't done a good job in treating my sleep apnea. But yeah, cannabis is awesome, and it like helps people in so many different ways. And it's not for everybody, I think there's a lot of people that like assume that people who love weed thinks that everybody should be high all the time or everybody should try weed, which definitely isn't the case.
Everybody's running their own race.
We talked about that in our last episode that we're going to release. The one before this episode, we talked about that. That's funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just because getting high with new people, doing what we do is definitely not suitable for people who just kind of consume flower and they think that they're
dabbing for sure. Dabbing is a whole nother story. But like even just
my
weed
first
at all.
dab, My first dab, he told me just to keep on hitting it until I stopped seeing smoke. So that's what I did. But like, if you do that to a random person, that's not gonna go good.
No.
But we'll go ahead and do the outro. We'll end our podcast here. If you want, we can just chill, hang out, smoke a bit. But we're gonna go ahead and end the podcast.
I'm gonna get the laptop around, and we're gonna take a picture for the thumbnail with you in the laptop.
Sounds good.
Jack the Dablad on all platforms, right?
That's right. Thank you for the shout out, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. I'm very honored to be the first guest.
We appreciate you. All of his links. We'll have the thing on the video, but then we'll have all his links and stuff in the description below. Thank you for seshing with us. I'm Fiend. That's Sandwich. We're 42T, and this has been Bong Noises.